beautiful humans. Welcome to another episode of Thrive. It's Karli, but not just Karli. Today, guys, I'm so excited to have a guest on the podcast, and it's been a while since I've had a guest. And I reached out to this particular woman because I've been following her for years now. I have loved watching her journey, watching her business really evolve and unfold. And the thing that I love most about her is just how unapologetically herself she is. And I think you're really going to get that from this episode. We talk about so much incredible stuff, just, from personal power to owning who you are, understanding your triggers and what they're trying to show you, quantum manifestation, and heaps more. So guys, the amazing guest that I have on today is Karli Wilkinson. And without further ado, let's get into the episode. Oh, but before we do that, I would also love to invite you to share this episode with somebody that you think could really benefit from the conversation around owning who you are and really stepping into your personal power. And of course, if you love the episode, please make sure that you go and give it a review. Drop a good old 5 stars for us, and let's get this into the ears of the people that really need to hear it. So let's get into the episode. Amazing. Hello, beautiful Katie. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today, guys, we're talking with Karli Wilkinson, and she's a Quantum Creatrix and Embodiment Mentor. So welcome, Katie.
Hi, Karli. Thank you so much for having me on here. I'm super pumped for today's conversation.
Oh my gosh, I've been so excited all week, and I've been watching your journey. You've been traveling around and doing some amazing things and just really living this beautifully aligned, magnetic, and embodied life, which is incredible.
Yeah. I just came back from Sydney, and then I'm heading off to Gold Coast in 9 days and living that freedom lifestyle that I dreamed of 4 years ago now. And I quit my 9 to 5, and all because I took the leap to start this business.
Oh my gosh, how incredible. So can you tell us, for the beautiful ladies who don't know who you are, tell us a little bit about who Katie is. And in particular, I'd love to know what you really stand for.
Yes. Okay. So I'm Karli Wilkinson. I'm based in Melbourne, Australia, and I'm a quantum mentor and embodiment coach. So what I really specialize in is helping feminine leaders and women on a mission to unleash their divine legacy. I really believe that we are on the brink of a breakthrough when it comes to global consciousness, and we need as many light workers, shadow workers, all of, our spiritual leaders to rise up and collectively help the world with our gifts, right? So I do that in a way that's really connected to devotion. So putting your mission, putting your service first, while also integrating the quantum field, manifestation, and embodiment. So it's a way that feels really holistic and grounded. We're not here to hustle. We're not here to force things, but doing it in our own feminine, magnetic way, rooted in our power, and to build a business that just feels so easeful.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. I got tingles when you said about unleashing a divine legacy. I just think exactly as you said, we are on the brink of just magic in our universe. And I know I speak to so many women who are like, oh, I've got this thing that I really want to share, or I've got this thing that I want to bring to life, but, I'm afraid of failing, or I'm afraid of being myself. I don't know what to do. Right. And did you ever experience that before you launched into what it is that you do?
Yes, 100%. I feel like, are you even human if you don't fear judgment, if you're not scared, And I think I honestly see that as the initiation for most people when you are, on the cusp, on that brink, and deciding, am I going to take the leap? And the thing is, I actually put an oracle card on this yesterday on a question that I was asking, and it was remember that fear isn't a no. Fear is actually a yes. You still take the leap even though you have fear. And I think a thing that stops a lot of people is they think they have to dissect their fear, alchemize their fear, dissolve their fear before you move. But in fact, the more you stay stuck, the more that fear amplifies. And so it's really important that you go out there despite the fear, and that's what makes a great leader, right? So even today's now, still fears will come up, but I'll lean into that. And as soon as you take the leap, it's gone. I love to use the analogy, imagine you're on a cliff and you're about to jump or jump out of a plane. the more that you hesitate, the more that fear builds. And the moment you jump, you're like, oh, it wasn't that bad anyway. And so the biggest and easiest way to overcome fear is literally just to face the thing that you fear. Stop giving it power, right? Stop giving it power and realize you own your fear by, tackling it head on.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the biggest myths is that like, oh, I can't take action until I am fearless. But is there even such a thing as fearless? I don't believe there is.
Yeah. Well, like I feel pretty fearless, but I'm fearless because I don't fear my fear. That's the thing. Like I use fear as such like an alchemization. I use it as such like a motivator. Like, if we didn't have fear, also life would be boring. And it's like, what's the point of jumping out of a plane then if you didn't feel any fear, right? So it's actually your relationship that is surrounding the fear itself.
That's so true. I heard this thing the other day. I can't remember where it was now. But he said that your fear is just excitement without the breath.
Yes.
It's like when you're fearing something, you're almost like holding your breath. If you can breathe into that, you're like feeling excited.
Exactly. It's same with nervousness. I see it as it's like if you're nervous, it's just your body getting prepared. Like it's the adrenaline pumping. It's you really can see any emotion in the low frequency or the high frequency, and you decide what it means to you.
Oh my God, I love that so much. And the other thing I love, Katie, is just how authentically, unapologetically you are on your socials. Okay. And I watched a story that you shared earlier today, and you really talked about like this level of personal power that you embody. Can you talk to us a little bit about that? And yeah, just really like the power of owning who you are.
Yes. Okay. So personal power, one of my favorite like words, phrases, it's actually my theme as well for this year. And
Nice.
how I define personal power is knowing that you always have a choice, right? And leaning into that version of yourself that is your highest self, that is in her power. And, the thing is, most people aren't like, we all have personal power. We all have power, regardless of who you are. Like we are the divine creators. It's just what expression of your power are you letting out? Most people are diluting it. Like most people are honestly operating at 1% of their power. And that was me. And we do this because we operate based on the external world. So I don't have evidence yet, so I'm not going to move. I feel fear, so I'm not going to move. Or I'm afraid of judgment. I'm not getting validated. All of this, that is not in your personal power. To be in your power means to know and show up as the ultimate creator of your reality, knowing that I get to manifest, I get to choose, I get to lead my life, and it all comes down to me, right? And so are you going to allow things outside of you to dictate who you are? Or are you actually going to decide like, this is who I am, right? And lead with that energy, lead with that conviction. So for me, tuning more into my personal power was actually doing the things that scared me so that I could alchemize and confront all of the fears that I did have. So for me, I wasn't in my power before because I had all these fears around judgment, around criticism, people copying me. I just went into this whole spiral. But when I rose up, I realized actually all of this was reflecting back to me the insecurities and wounds that I had in myself. I feared judgment purely because I judged myself. I feared rejection because I rejected myself, right? I feared criticism because I criticized myself. I feared cancellation because I knew that I could cancel myself, right? And so when you keep leaning into the things that you fear, you actually realize this has nothing to do with other people and it's all to do with myself. And so personal power is constantly coming back to, where am I not in my power? Where am I not owning up to myself? Where am I operating on circumstantial power? Circumstantial power means I am only powerful based on my circumstances. When everything looks good, when I'm having a high cash month, when my mood's good, my relationship's good, yeah, I'm powerful. And the moment things don't go to plan, right, is the moment most people tap out. Lean out. I'm not available anymore. Oh my goodness, I'm complaining, I'm blaming, I'm acting the victim. True power is power regardless of your circumstances. You are always powerful. And that doesn't mean you can't, sometimes be angry, sometimes feel grief, sadness, whatever it is, a full human range of the spectrum of emotions. But it's understanding that I am still in my power no matter what I experience. And part of me created that. So how do you lead from that energy? So now when I show up, the reason why I can be so authentic and own myself is because I have faced all the things that scare me. I have leaned into every single one of my insecurities. So now I can show up, be so vulnerable, be so triggering to a lot of people online, and people can project all back to me. And I am so solid because I know this is who I am. And no matter what you tell me, I know the truth of who I am. You can call me a scam, you can call me a fraud, you can say I'm obnoxious, whatever, like put any label on me, but I know who I am at my core. And so personal power is really like anchoring into who are you? Who are you at your core? And when you become unshakable in yourself, you then become powerful in how you are perceived outwardly as well.
Absolutely. Because I mean, our outer world is just a reflection of what's going on within us, right?
Yes.
And it's so interesting, so many people are like, oh, I want that person to change, or I want them to think differently about me, but we're not doing the work within.
Think
right?
differently about yourself. That's it.
Exactly. That self-concept, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that I saw a reel of yours go like completely viral. I mean, how many views did that have?
100 million views now, my viral reel of me screaming and crying.
God, that was incredible. And I'm going to just, go out on a limb here and suggest that you have to do a bit of work to create some safety within yourself to be seen and to be visible at that level.
For sure. I mean, again, if you're the creator of your reality, your set point or your ceiling of what you are experiencing now is based off what you feel comfortable, familiar, and safe with at this level, right? And so at one point, I don't know if you remember, there was this big cancel culture thing happening in the industry, and everyone was calling the big leaders out. And it was quite scary. It was quite confronting. And at that point, I remember, I wasn't being canceled personally. I wasn't, as big at that time. Yeah. But I remember actually that I felt contraction when I viewed that, because I was like, well, what if they target me next? What if they judge me? What if I am canceled? And the only reason why past me had those thoughts was because, again, I wasn't secure in who I was. If someone else could cancel me that easily, if someone could, say something about me, and then all of a sudden I feel so bad within myself, it's because I wasn't rooted properly in my truth and in my message of what I share today. So I had to really overcome that. And that reflected in my business. At that time, I was stagnated at around 5,000 followers. It just wasn't growing. I'd increase followers and people would unfollow, increase and unfollow. It would be the same pattern, right? And again, you could say it's a content marketing, but it was really myself. I didn't feel safe having and growing the capacity of my followers, allowing my reels to go viral. And so I had this really deep period of actually all my traumas coming up, all my triggers coming up, and needing to alchemize that, actually feeling so safe being seen. And the thing is, if you don't feel safe being seen in front of others, it's actually because you don't see yourself, right? Mm-hmm. You're not holding yourself in, can I see the ugly parts of myself, the parts of myself that I shame, the parts of myself that I judge, and hold it so neutrally, hold it with love, right? And so when I fully changed that, and again, it's been like almost 4 years now, my business, it's been such a journey. I remember the day before I posted that reel, I said, I'm ready for growth. I'm ready for more. Actually, I'm ready for criticism. I'm ready for projection. Like, I'm ready for that, because I know that you cannot grow and simultaneously avoid hate and criticism. Yeah. It just doesn't work. Like, it's a law of polarity at play. You have a positive and it's a negative as well. But the negative doesn't mean it's bad. It's actually just strengthening your power. Like, imagine if things were all easy all the time and you never were criticized, and you never were judged. That wouldn't strengthen anything. That wouldn't build your character. You look at Beyonce, you look at Taylor Swift, it doesn't matter what big leader there's out there. I mean, there are haters, right? And they also have fans. And so I had to fully accept that I wasn't ready for that until one day I just decided. And I didn't necessarily think I'm going to go viral or my page is going to explode. I just said I'm ready. And then that day the next day I happened to post that reel and it just exploded. Like my following tripled. The reel went viral. I had so many more clients, customers. There was a lot of hate though too. That's the thing. I had a lot of people in the comments saying, what is this? Religion? Oh my gosh, all the things. And I could stay so neutral in it all. Right. But before, if that happened, I would have hid and gone into contraction. So yes, there was so much work done behind the scenes in myself, in my nervous system, in my capacity to hold that and to see myself. And then therefore that reflected outside as well.
Absolutely. And how did you respond to the hate, or not even respond is the right word, but how did that feel? You said you held it neutrally.
Yeah, it's so interesting because I actually could view it and I just observed it as someone else's projection. Like, it didn't activate me. It didn't trigger me. Like, people are saying, oh, like what you're saying is wrong, or go find Jesus, or are you a lesbian? I don't know, the weirdest things. And it's so funny, like these people have never been on my page, or just seeing a 6-second reel. That's all. Like really, they're seeing a 6-second reel and basing all of their judgments around me off 6 seconds. And you can really go back and be like, wow, how ludicrous is that? Like there were some people saying I was a scam or a snake oil, or if I really cared about my business, then I shouldn't be charging, like some of the most craziest things. And I just witnessed it for that. It's just a stranger making a biased assumption about you, which is actually saying so much about them. I could actually see how they feel about themselves through that comment. And so that's the true thing of like being healed and in your power is just neutrality. It's just looking at it, watching it, neutral. And then if I were to get triggered or something activates me, which still, of course, today they do, I don't look at the person and go, how do I avoid that person? How do I avoid that comment? I look at, oh, what is this revealing within myself? What is this showing me within myself? And then I deal with that. And so now I welcome triggers. I welcome, my wounds being prodded, because that is the fastest route to my expansion. If you don't see your wounds, if you're not available to get triggered, you're not available for evolution. How do you evolve if you can't see the areas in which you have weaknesses and limitations? So honestly, it just felt so neutral, so clean. But before, it wouldn't have. So what changed? It was me. That's it.
Yeah, that's really powerful what you said. These triggers, they're such a gift. And I think when we can shift our perspective to witness them as a gift, that's when we are truly like able to evolve and able to grow, as you said. The other thing I wanted to highlight as well, it was really powerful that you said that, these strangers are basing their opinions of you on this 6-second reel. And I think that's very important to highlight for the listeners out there who might be kind of feeling afraid of this judgment and how, wondering how they're going to deal with trolls and that sort of thing. So nobody knows you. Only you know you, right?
Yeah. So true. It's like a stranger on the street just hurling comments at you. You'd be like, what the heck? Like, you don't know me. Move on.
And you would keep walking.
Yeah, that's it.
Right?
Would you go and attack them or fight them and justify and prove? And that's the thing. Like, if you feel the need to explain yourself and prove, then it goes to show you're not actually feeling solid within yourself.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh, that's so powerful, Katie. And so for somebody who really wants to like step into their personal power and really begin to own who they are, to know who they are, so that they can show up with much more like authenticity and I don't fucking care what people say about me because I can hold it neutrally. Like, what would you suggest would be the first thing for them to do?
I would say it's a lot of the inner work. There's a couple of things. So the first thing is have a neutral relationship with yourself. Just like you were saying, being triggered is a gift. So one thing that shifted with me that really supercharged my growth was that I stopped seeing my weaknesses, shadows, and limitations as a negative thing or as an attack towards myself. Because all you need to do in order to step into your power is to alchemize these parts of yourself where you feel judged, criticized, not enough, whatever it is, so that when other people project that onto you, you don't feel it. That's all we're doing. But the fastest way to evolve and actually transcend these triggers is to see them neutrally, is to see them actually as a gift. What happened before is I was, very much in the spiritual space for a long time, in the healing space. I studied kinesiology, mind body medicine. I knew so many of my wounds. But the difference is every time a wound came up, I was like, oh, my validation wound is coming out again. Like, oh my God, I thought I'd gotten over this. Oh, so annoying. It's like every time I was trying to get away, it was like these parts of me were wrong. I felt attacked. I felt belittled. I felt like I was sabotaging myself, and it was a negative vibe. And so because I felt ashamed, really, and I loathed these parts of myself, I wasn't actively available for these parts to come up, because every time they came up, I judged them, right? And you cannot heal what you judge and shame. So the moment that I started to see my patterns neutrally and be like, oh yeah, I want to see the ugly parts of myself. I want to see my weaknesses. I want to see the all of the wounds. It's not bad. It's actually good, because the more I see them, the more I alchemize, the more I transcend. I cannot heal what I am ashamed of, because you naturally avoid shame. You'll naturally push down the wounds because like, I don't want to see them. I don't want to see them because it means I'm attacked. And you'll start getting defensive. I opened myself up to that and really like radically, honestly looked at myself and said, okay, like where am I feeling judgment? Where do I hold shame? And it's your dynamic in the relationship around your wounds, which then lifts the heaviness And so you're actually allowed to see them more, because when you are not ashamed of them, when you own them, you see them. When you see them, you heal them. So that was one of the quickest things. Just see yourself, mutually observe. It's just information. That's all it is. It's just pure information. You get the information and then you transcend it. So that relationship dynamic really, really helped, because until you stop shaming, or until you keep shaming, you'll never transcend your wounds. And then the other thing was continuing to lean in, right? Because again, it's like you can have your wounds, you can have your fear. With personal power, it's leaning into your edge. So I would see where I felt judged. I'd see where I felt small. I'd see where I was avoiding, and I leaned in. Right? When I didn't want to post, I leaned in and I did the thing. When I had fear, I leaned in. I did the thing. When I was afraid of saying what I wanted to say, of being vulnerable or sharing a certain message because I thought I would trigger people, I leaned in and did it anyway. And it's just a muscle. The more you do it and you lean in and you realize, oh, I'm not dead. I'm not going to die from this. The world's all okay. This is not as big as a deal as I thought. Then you strengthen it and you actually neutralize it. So having neutrality, neutral observation around your patterns, leaning into seeing them, and also stop hiding, stop avoiding, because your personal power is there. It's just that you're diluting it from hiding. And the more you hide, this is why people are exhausted. They're like, oh my God, it's like life's so hard. It's so exhausting. Yeah, because you're hiding, because you're avoiding. There's all these things that you secretly want to do, but you're not doing it. And that's why you're feeling so much resistance. If you just did it, afterwards you'd be like, oh my gosh, it's so easy. And that also creates momentum as well.
Yeah. And that's so energizing, isn't it? Because when we're hiding, you're literally like thinking about who we're being, right? We're literally having to think about it and consider like, oh, how am I going to show up today? Which mask do I need to put on? It's fucking exhausting. I've absolutely been there too. And that's really challenging. And so let's talk a little bit about the quantum world as well, because I've been following you for years, Katie, and I've loved watching your journey unfold. I've done a few of your masterclasses, which have just been like transformational. So tell us a little bit about the work that you do around like quantum and manifestation and that sort of thing.
Yes. Okay. So I like to say quantum is like manifestation on drugs. It really just takes it to the next level. We're not just like, oh, let's pick a certain thing and manifest it and I have these goals. Like the quantum realm is the fertile field where every single potentiality, opportunity, version of you, timeline, parallel reality already exists, but it exists as energy. The reason why you have a desire, the reason why you have a download or an idea or you have an intuitive hit purely is because we are connected to this infinite field of information, superconscious or the quantum field. And so the quantum work really takes it to the next level, because actually understanding that if everything already exists now, that means that I am not creating anything. I'm not even attracting anything. I am just jumping timelines. So when people say, oh, you had a quantum leap, all it means is accessing that version of you that's already there in the quantum field, the version of you that has $1 million business, is in love with your soulmate, has the house, the car, the family, whatever it is. It's tuning into that and realizing that there is no time, right? There is no time, there is no space. And so you can attract and be that now. So many people are stuck in this hamster wheel because we're taught this in conventional society. Have a goal, work towards it. You need to do all of these steps. There's a sequence to get there, but there is no sequence. Some people wake up and they literally win the lottery and it's $1 million is downloaded and transferred into their bank account that day. It's the same, with illogical growth, you need to realize that there are no limits. There truly are no limits in what you can do, be, have, or achieve. So the quantum work is understanding I am at the level that I am now. Like my physical reality is just feedback for who I am being, right? So I attract, I create based off who I am being. And if it already exists in the quantum field, all I need to do is show up as if I already have it, right? And then that will reflect in my reality. So recognizing that there's nothing else really that you need to do. You just need to show up as that person. Stop wanting it. Stop desiring it. Stop working towards it, because that's all lack. You're saying, I don't have it. Show up as if you're already there. Who would you be if you already anchored into that identity? So this is why the quantum work is so powerful, because we no longer have to, work so hard or do all this stuff and tick all these boxes. It's just like, I can receive now and create totally unrealistic, illogical results purely because I'm tapped into the quantum field. And I always know the path of least resistance. I truly believe your highest timeline is trying to manifest its way to you right now, but people resist it because it's not in the way that they thought it is. Part of the quantum field is actually part of the unknown. We do not know what is going to happen in the next moment, but every single time we anticipate something, we create it. We are deciding in every single moment. From the moment you wake up in the morning, you think, oh, what are the emotions that I'm going to have? Who are the people that I'm going to have? The conversations that I'm going to have? Are you going to make money today or not? What food are you going to eat? How are you going to feel about yourself? The moment before you look into the mirror, what are you looking for? Are you looking for your sexy, awesome, ripped body? Or are you looking for bloating, cellulite, and cystic acne, right? Every single moment we are creating based off our expectation, and our expectations are based off the past, right? And this is why people are recreating their reality again and again and again, because 95% of our thoughts are based in the past. What if this was the moment right before your quantum leap, right? This is the moment that you're going to receive the client, make all the money, your manifestations are going to happen. Stop seeing it something separate to you. Stop seeing it something outside of you. Nothing actually exists outside of this now moment, because time itself is an illusion.
Time is an illusion. Oh, that was one of the most powerful realizations or most powerful things that I allowed to actually land. And when it lands, it's just like, oh my gosh, it's all energy and it's who I am being in this moment, right? I think that's so incredible. And so you talked a bit about who I am being, and it's about it's about who we're being. So somebody who is like, all right, I've got these epic big goals that I want to achieve for 2024. What is the most, what's the word I'm looking for? The most important thing, the most pivotal thing that they can be doing to quantum leap themselves into the reality that they desire to be in.
Yes, it is the identity work first, paired with the embodied action, right? So manifestation, even though everything's energy and it's who I am being that creates what I am a match for, who you are being in your identity is an accumulation of not just your emotions, not just your thoughts, not just your expectations, but also your actions. Like if you were just meditating all day saying, I am a buff person and I have a six pack and I'm an Olympic athlete, but you don't go to the gym, how are you a match for that, right? Like your certain identity holds all of these codes, and you have to be so radically honest with yourself and real with yourself of like, where am I not showing up as that version of me, right? Like if I had the money, if I had the business, I would be showing up in this way differently. I would have different messaging. I would walk differently. I would talk differently. I would stop complaining. Like really dissect every single level of your reality. And some people say, well, I don't have the money or I'm not there yet. It's not so much around the logical things that you would do, but it's more the frequency and who you show up as. Like if you are a leader, you would show up differently versus if you perceive yourself as a beginner. And this is a mistake a lot of new entrepreneurs do. They're like, I'm a beginner. Welcome to the space. Welcome to my business. And it's like, it's beginner vibes. How do you expect to build an empire if you're acting as a beginner? You're only a match for beginner energy, right? And that attracts totally different, clients and audience versus I'm here and I'm the coach. I'm the industry leader. And you can do that from day one if you decide. Stop being apologetic about things. Stop trying to explain. Stop trying to prove. Stop trying to, over deliver so much and overcompensate. Just be who you are. Just be so grounded in that and be your next level self, right? And we know, honestly, within ourselves, like, maybe you have to let go of some friends, let go of old habits, bring on new things. You need to make space for that next level version of you and take the embodied action. Don't take action if you're trying to get there, right? And this is the thing. It's not about the specific action that you take. It's actually the intention and the energy behind the action that you take, right? So let's just say posting consistently. One person is posting consistently because they think they need to post consistently to get clients versus someone else is posting consistently because they believe that they're already there. They're already an industry leader. So therefore I'm posting consistently. It is what you do and the energy underlying that which matters. So if you are already that version of yourself, already having that goal, what would the actions be that you're taking? Because you know that there's nothing that you have to do to get there. So now we want to take action. People just think, oh, like I wouldn't do anything. That's a lie, because ultimately we want to create, we want to play, we want to do. Like if you know that there's nothing required of you How would you actually show up? And that's the true aligned, authentic energy. Like there's so much that I do. You know, I love to post consistently. I show up. I see my friends, you know, I cook, I do all this stuff. It's like, I know I don't have to. It's coming from the energy of I want to. And this is the highest expression of me. And so that's the energy that you have to tap into if you want to close the gap between where you are now and your desire. Simply be her. As long as there is a gap, there's going to be distance. There's going to be separation, and you're not going to be there, right? The moment that you are that version of you, you access it in the quantum field, you show up and you stop waiting for evidence. You stop waiting for money. You stop waiting for love to feel wealthy, to feel love, to feel free. That's when it drops in, right? And that's also personal power. I lead regardless. I show up as my higher self regardless. I don't need to wait for my external reality to change before I stop being the victim. I am wanting to be the creator, not just because I want to manifest physical things, but because it's liberating to be the creator. My most authentic self isn't the victim. My most highest self is the creator of her reality. And it's such a liberating, powerful state to actually be in.
Oh my God, absolutely. And the whole, you know, starting your business as the beginner, and I've got to talk like the beginner because that's where I am. That's kind of holding on to the belief that everything has to happen in a sequence, right? Whereas in the quantum, there's no such thing.
No. And that's how people quantum leap, because they're like, oh, okay, well, I want to be an industry leader. So therefore I'm going to talk like an industry leader. I'm not going to prove, I'm not going to explain, I'm not going to handle objections. I'm not going to do all this because I do none of that, right? I'm just unapologetic. Like you get me or you don't. Like you're either at this level or you're not, and that's fine, right? There's nothing wrong with that. And then that's how you quantum leap. Like I've seen people, like even one of my coaches that I'm working with now, literally her first year in business was $1 million business, right? And purely because she showed up as the leader from day one. So it's all up to you. Like your results are based off the frequency that you are operating at right now.
Absolutely. And we show up as the leader from day one by really stepping into our personal power, owning who the fuck we are, and choosing to be that embodied version. I love that so much. I love that so much. Katie, I don't have any more questions for you. Is there anything else that you are really passionate about that is really like getting your juices flowing at the moment that you would love to chat about?
Ooh, I actually feel like we've actually talked about a lot of things, like personal power. That's really what I love talking about at the moment. The whole trigger situation, like seeing your wounds. What else? I think, like, okay, one of the biggest things for me that's a big part of my business is the devotion piece, which I feel like we could touch on more. So, you know, a lot of people, they talk about discipline or motivation, and it's like, how do I stay so consistent in business? How do I continue showing up? How am I so dedicated? The reason why is because I have this devotion piece. And I feel like a lot of people don't talk about this. It's just like, if you have this dream, if you have this desire, go for it. And then people, you know, end up lacking the momentum or lacking the motivation, and things stagnate. In everything that I do, I see it as I am the creator of my reality. I incarnated on this planet to experience the full entire spectrum, the full entire experience, and to uplift the humanity, you know, the consciousness of humanity. And it all comes down to, what is my divine mission, not just in my business, but in everything. And that's to elevate humanity. So just before, I was at the grocery store and I was talking to, you know, the lady at the checkout, and I see that as part of my mission. I'm up leveling her. I am, you know, giving her positive vibes by talking to her, by being present, by listening, by giving eye contact. And so in everything that I do, it's not a question of, do I do this or don't I? Like, I've got this desire because it is a divine mission. God implanted this in me in order to fulfill this. Like, we are all the chosen ones. We all have this legacy. We all have this mission. And the reason why people get stuck and people stagnate is because they haven't connected, and they've lost that connection to their why. So everyone talks about connect to your why, connect to your why. But ultimately, like, your why is divine. Your why is the universe. Your why comes down to God. It is like, you are so devoted to bringing this divine mission here on earth. And every single time I hold myself back and I hide, I am doing a disservice. My business isn't about me. My business isn't about the money. And I feel like so often people enter it from this space. Like, it looks so glamorous on the outside, like make multiple six figures and fly around the world and, you know, make all this money and all this stuff. And it's like, yeah, it is that. But it's also like, if you don't have a deeper why, the money in the lifestyle is not going to be the greatest motivator, because business, it's easy, but it's also challenging, right? You're going to have people who break contracts, who default payments, who copy you, who criticize you. Like, it's a lot. You have to wear a lot of hats. And the reason why it's easy for me and harder for others is because I have nailed the devotion piece and other people have forgotten it. They're like, oh, it's not worth it. What do you mean? Like, my business is always worth it, because me not showing up is a disservice to this world, right? The other day I was in the airport and I had a download and I wanted to share it. And I'm like, I don't care if there's 20 people watching me. I'm going to post this right now, because not posting just because I'm in public, just because I'm afraid of judgment, is self-absorption. Most people, the reason why they held back is because of their own personal fears. Your personal fears, it's selfish. If you think about it, like, it's your own shit. You're not going to show up purely because you're afraid of judgment when, you know, there are 10 million people out there needing your message, needing your gift. Like, imagine if I was afraid of being vulnerable, so I didn't post that reel that got seen by 100 million people. The amount of comments on that reel that said, you literally brought me to tears from watching that. They wouldn't have been impacted if I gave in to my selfish fears around, oh, I'm scared to be vulnerable, I'm scared to put myself out there. This is the leading key factor in everything that you do. You know, it's not just, I want to achieve this goal and I want the materialistic, you know, expression. It's, I am devoted to God, to my truth, to the universe, to the divine mission, and to being my highest self. So this is how I don't get derailed, and how I have so much focus and consistency, is because every morning I wake up and I'm like, I'm breathing, I'm alive, I have a mission to complete. I'm uplifting humanity, and that encompasses everything. Me going to the gym is my highest self-expression. You know, me not respecting my body isn't. And so in everything that I do will be like, what is the decision that carries the most devotion, rather than, oh, it's just discipline, or, oh, I'm just motivated and these things waver. Devotion is always there. So that's such a key part of my business that I help other women tap into as well when starting their business, or if they've ever, you know, forgotten that. It's like coming back into that. It just gives you unlimited fuel and unlimited energy.
Absolutely. And like you said, service first.
Mm-hmm.
And because I think that can get lost so easily in this industry. It's like money, money, money. And, you know, who's working with the most clients? When we come back to service first, we realize that our mission, and each and every one of us, I believe, who is called to do this work, has got a mission that is bigger than what we could even imagine right now.
Yes. Yes. Mm-hmm. I like to say as well, like, are you here just to sign a client, or are you here to serve? So often it's like, I want to sign 5 clients. Like, yeah, sell. Like, oh my God, I hit the goal, 5 clients. Like you're helping 5 people. It's not just 5 clients, numbers, you've made 20,000. Like, it's people. Stop trying to just fill your programs. Help people. Like, we're getting into this mindset of like 100K months, 20 people in my program, 5 private clients. It's not about that at all. It's about the fact that you are impacting people. So when you see it as like, stop trying to sign a client and you start trying to impact and serve and help, it just really changes the game. And how could you get demotivated? And also, how could you not succeed if you're just serving? Like, it is inevitable that you are going to succeed, because you are literally transforming people's lives.
Yep. Literally, I completely agree with you on that. And I think even just like a subtle shift in the language that we use, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, how can I sign 5 clients? How can I impact 5 people, right? There's just
it's
such
different
energy, right?
The way you show up, the way you sell, the way you would lead and implement would be different.
Yeah, exactly. And so you're so tapped into like to your mission, right? Do you ever have those moments where, I mean, obviously you have moments where it feels tough. Like, so what do you do to bring yourself back?
I always come back to, is this problem or my mission more important? And it's like, the problem always dissolves. Like, what? I have a client that defaults their payment, or a trademark issue, or someone trying to tear me down. Like, so what? It's literally just an obstacle. And that's the thing of like, when I talk to people, they're like, oh, I want to write this book, I want to start my business, but all of these obstacles. And I'm like, what's more important? The people you're going to impact, or the obstacles that big that it's not worth like doing your thing. And it's like, it's just a speed bump. It's just like this little blip. Stop seeing it as a wall, as a setback. It's just a little hurdle, right? And so, yeah, I actually like had moments before I was like, oh, like maybe I'll stop my business, to be honest, because I was so detached again from the mission. But lately, like the past year or so, I haven't felt that at all. I felt challenged for sure, but it's a 1 second thing. Is it an obstacle compared to my divine mission? Like, what's more important? And it's like everything pales in comparison. What could be more important than my divine mission? And ultimately, the only thing would be me. Like, the only reason I would take a step back or change something is if I, had a major health issue or something like that, where I have to put myself first, because ultimately you have to be before your business, not your business before you. But that doesn't mean your fears, right? It's respecting you. There's a difference there. Yeah. But yeah, it's literally just like one moment. And, people go into, oh, I need to heal my judgment. I need to heal my shame. And like, we go way too many layers deep. It's like, no, you don't need to heal it, but you don't need to work on all of that. Literally just think my mission. That's it. And then it's like, my judgment, my fear of judgment doesn't matter. And that's how business becomes so easy for me, because the challenges literally just dissolve into tiny little blips when I access and remember my mission.
That's incredible, because the mission is always going to be so much bigger.
Exactly. Like nothing compares.
Oh, I love that so much. I love that so much. Thank you so, so much for talking to me today. Can you just let the listeners know where they can find you, if there's ways that they can work with you, if they want to know more?
Yeah, for sure. So if you love this conversation and want to dive deep into the quantum, into, aligned business, then I am most active on Instagram. My handle is @katie.wilkinson with 2 N's at the end. I also have my own podcast called Conscious Queens. You can find that on most platforms. And if you want to dive into the quantum, I have my signature masterclass, which is called Quantum Attraction. And this is where we go through the science behind science and physics, actually, behind manifestation, the quantum field, how to access that, and how to collapse time as well, how to initiate a quantum leap by choice. It's not just something that happens coincidentally or by chance. And I also have my membership, which is called Conscious Queens as well. So it's a Conscious Queens collective. This is where you can access all of my past one-off trainings and masterclasses. There are 75 pre-recorded lessons on the inside. And we also have 3 live calls per month, including 1 masterclass, 1 live healing call, and a Q&A. So it's literally everything that you need to up level in your business, in your personal power, and in your wealth.
Incredible. Thank you so, so much, beautiful lady. That was incredible. You shared so much magic with us, and I am truly so grateful.
Thank you so much for having me on here. This was such an epic conversation, and I'm sure that people got a lot out of it. It was a good one.
No doubt. Thank you so, so much. Hey sister, thank you so much for listening. I really hope that you enjoyed this episode. If you did, it would mean so much to me if you would head over to your podcast provider and leave me a 5-star review. This will help us to reach more incredible humans who want to thrive in their life and be unapologetic about it. If we're not friends yet, let's connect on Instagram or Facebook. You can find me at Karli Hinges. Thanks again for listening. Until next time, you've got this.